Abu Darda radiallahu anhu said that the Messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad, said, the camp of Muslims on the day of the great battle will be in Al-Ghuta, besides the city called Damascus, one of the best cities of Al-Sham. Ghouta is known today as Ghutat Damashq. And I already told you that a time is coming when they will hear this. Baz ibn Hakim, it says, narrated from his father that his grandfather said, I said, Messenger of Allah, Prophet's son, where do you instruct me to go? He said, there, and he pointed towards Al-Sham. Before the hour begins, most of the believers will migrate to it, and there will not be any of them left, believers left, but he will go and live in Al-Sham. The people in Medina, there is a time coming when they will completely leave Medina and be in Sham. Many hadiths makes mention of this. So now, one thing you need to know is that whenever I'm quoting you from the authentic hadiths about the West making a truce and you fight an enemy from behind, look, where is behind Damascus, and where is behind Ghouta, and where is behind Constantinople, and see where is an enemy who is not a Muslim or a Christian that will be fighting against you. And there is an enemy that is out there that has ties to the state of Israel, the Zionist Jews. And I don't have time to mention it right now. But then it makes mention in the hadith that the West will land after they're in the plane, and when the Muslims get angry, how the set of Muslims will also be killed. And when they are killed in this plain field, what is going to happen next? The Western world will say, let us relieve you of the Arabs. See? And from there, they will now rank up. And they will rank up in Damascus, Syria. They will come down to Damascus, Syria, according to Hadith, when it says Yanzil, meaning to come down and stuff. Look at the direction on a map. And you will see that when the people fight, they're going to fight from Syria. And from there, this Malama al-Kubra, the conquest of Constantinople. When the Muslims are victorious over the West, what is going to happen next? Because our Prophet made mention that very soon after you conquer Constantinople, then you will fight somewhere else. And I read to you that the conquest of Constantinople, after you are victorious, then Dajjal comes. And Satan will say, Dajjal has been among your places, which will be a lie. And when the Muslims pray in the Masjid in Damascus, that's the time when Jesus comes back, and guess who's outside? Dajjal. Now, before this happens where the Muslims sees Prophet Jesus comes back, what happens next? Let me read to you. To show you proof that the West is the one that invaded Constantinople, because today Constantinople is in Muslim hand. Even though their place is for NATO, but still in Muslim lands. But tomorrow, when it's conquered, you will have to now liberate this place, Constantinople. So now it's mentioned in Al-Hakim, Al-Mustadrak, number 8662, authentic hadith. Musnad Ahmad ibn Hanbal, hadith 6645, authenticated by Albani, says this: they ask, which of the two cities will be conquered first? Hear this. Which of the two cities will be conquered first? Constantinople or Rome? And Prophet replied that the city of Heraclius will be conquered first. To show you that the next city to be conquered will be Rome. Now, my question to you is, when the authentic hadith makes mention the city of Heraclius, you cannot come now and say, oh, time will change and territory will change. No. When it's prophesied to happen and the old name is used, the name during our prophet's time will be the same one to be used. So the city of Rome is no other than Italy, where Vatican is in Italy, Rome is in Italy. Constantinople is where Constantinople is today. The city of Heraclius tells you that it's the same city of the past. Don't put fairy tale land in. Bring the truth. So now, in authentic hadith makes mention that Dajjal will not come to you out until you have finished the battle with the Romans, Western Rome. That's what it was said in the hadith. So when Dajjal comes out, he's coming out after, to show you that Constantinople and the timing of Dajjal is very, very quick to happen. Because I showed you that the conquest of Constantinople will be at the timing of Dajjal. Authentic hadith, well, Hasan hadith, which is good. Now, the timing between Constantinople and Dajjal and the defeat of Vatican Rome, Western Rome, happens in between. There's not going to be any other battle to show you that when you conquer Constantinople, the people who was fighting from Constantinople, the West, will now have to go back to the headquarters, which the headquarters of the West is in the city of Rome. And let me now give you some important information. You see, Constantinople used to have something called the Hagia Sophia, which was the headquarters members of Orthodox Eastern Roman Christianity, which is good Rome. And Western Rome was headed by the Vatican. But during our prophet time, the Rome had been united as an empire, even though the people were against each other. Eastern Rome has always had disagreements with Western Rome and vice versa. Now, let me show you some proof. Narrated by Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, that Abu Sufyan bin Harb, radiallahu anhu, informed him that Herakle had sent for him while he was with a party of the Quraysh. And hear this. They were trading in Asham, so they went to him. And he mentioned the hadith and said, then he called for the letter of the Messenger of Allah, Prophet, to be read. And it said, in the name of Allah, the merciful, the beneficent, from Muhammad, Prophet, Allah's slave and his messenger, to Herakle, the leader of Rome. You see, at that time, Rome had already became one, because Western Rome had fallen way before the prophet came. But very much later, at a certain time, Eastern Rome took over the territories of Western Rome, and the people in the West and the people in the East always had disagreements. Now, the leader of the Rome was Justinian, who ruled the empire from 527 to 565. He was able to reclaim much of the Western Roman Empire during his reign. And Emperor Justinian there's a big history on it. I have a map right here showing how he was able to reconquer back the area. The map is 555 AD. Now, a prophet came after this time period, and Heraclius, who was the leader of the Roman Empire when he was united, his objective was to unite both Eastern and Western Rome, and he spent a long time trying to do it. But after time, things made it more and more clear how Eastern Rome and Western Rome were opposing each other. And so it led to what you have as a division in empire again. Eastern Roman empires on one side headed, and the headquarters of Orthodox Christianity was Hagia Sophia. And in the west is the Vatican. You can see that Heraclius was writing letters, and Sahih Bukhari, Hadith 7, makes mention of him writing letters and being informed by people in Rome city of the west. So, I purposely brought that up to let you know that now something happened that led to the Great Schism. And when the Great Schism happened, Eastern Christianity and Western Christianity excommunicated themselves. Eastern Christianity is Orthodox. Western Christianity is Catholic in the Vatican, which eventually gave rise to Protestant, which gave rise to the different subsect. Now, after time, certain things happened. The headquarters of Orthodox Christianity was attacked. And guess who it was attacked by? Crusaders. While the Crusaders were attacking the Muslims during the Fourth Crusade, guess what happened? A group of the Crusaders took over the churches and killed thousands of Christians. It got so bad that King Baldwin was the man who was known as the first emperor of the Latin Roman Empire. Why was that? Because the Western Road from the Vatican is dealing with Latin. Eastern Rome is completely different. You have the Greeks, but you have different others and stuff. This Eastern Rome includes the Slavic people. And Eastern Rome speaks a complete different language from Western Rome. The alphabet is completely different. So, one thing you need to realize is that what happened is that Orthodox Christianity headquarters had to be moved from the Hagia Sophia. Why? Because Western Rome Crusaders had invaded the territory and invaded for some time. Between 1204 and 1206, around that time into 1261, it was under the control of Western Rome. The Pope claimed that he talked against the Crusaders' mistake, but guess what he did? That's the top, he talked like that. But deep down, he supported King Baldwin, great cause of taking over that territory. And so the Pope supported Baldwin as the first emperor of this Western control over the territory here that belonged to Eastern Rome. So Western Rome had controlled that territory. After a certain period of time, it came back under Eastern Rome for a very short period of time. And then the Ottoman Empire, which is a kingship empire, which our prophet warned that Islamic rule will change to kingship rule. And it will even go against Quran and Sunnah. Look at the names of these sultans. The conqueror is kingship rule. And they did criminal acts to good Orthodox Christians. And they took over the Hagia Sophia wrongfully. So what happened was that the Orthodox Christians had to move their headquarters, which is now today in Moscow, Russia. Orthodox Christians is now headquartered in Russia. The influence of the Western Rome had did certain things before the Ottoman Sultanate take over. Now, Western Rome aka NATO, is controlling a lot of these territories that have belonged to Eastern Rome. That's why Constantinople is under NATO control. But when the Muslims are being invaded in the Constantinople, invaded in Muslim countries, then the Mahdi's army would have to liberate it. And from there, the Muslims will be the conquerors of this Rome. Who would conquer it? Is the ones coming from the west, because they would flee from Constantinople because they lost control, and then this hadith says you will conquer the city of Rome, telling you that you are fighting the west, and the last place to fight of the west is Western Rome. And I can give you much more information on that subject alone. Now, the other thing that needs to be mentioned of is this. Why is Jesus coming in the masjid of Damascus? What is so special about the masjid of Damascus? Do you even know the history of the masjid of Damascus? That's the question. You see, the masjid in Damascus used to be a church. And that church was originally part of Eastern Rome Empire. That church name was the church or the cathedral of John the Baptist. Why is that so significant? Many people, Muslims and Christians, have recognized that this was the place where the Prophet Yahya had is. And so Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, or Al-Walid, the Umayyad Caliph, reigned during the 1st century of Islam. Prior to this, the Umayyad Masjid was a cathedral, and Al-Walid personally supervised in the project. The masjid was completed in 715 by Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. Shortly after the death of Al-Walid, the masjid was known as the Umayyad Masjid. It is said that the masjid holds a shrine which contains the head of Prophet Yahya ibn Zachariah, John the Baptist. During the construction of the masjid, workers found a cave chapel which had a box containing the head of Yahya ibn Zachariah. That's what has been said, alayhi salam. Upon learning of that and examining it, Al-Walid ordered the head to be buried under a specific pillar in the masjid that was laid in marble. So now I have to ask you the question again. What is the significance of this masjid Prophet Jesus alayhi salam coming down at? Is because John the Baptist, the church before it was a masjid, was known as John the Baptist, and it's been said that his head is there. Who is Prophet Yahya alayhi salam known as John the Baptist? They were maternal cousins, and I can pull you hadith showing proof that Prophet Yahya alayhi salam and Prophet Jesus is maternal cousins. I can show you hadith from Sahih Muslim mentioning it. But there's also something more important to mention why it's happening there. If you look in the Bible, in John 1 verse 19, it says, when they were asking him, are you the Messiah? Are you Jesus? And he did not fail to confess, I am not the Messiah. Prophet Yahya alayhi salam confessed, I am not the Messiah. And guess what? If you look further in the verse, you will see something very important. The next day, verse 29, John saw Jesus coming toward him and said, look. And if we scroll down to verse 34, it says, I have seen and I testify that this is God's chosen one. And furthermore, the next day, John was there again with two disciples when he saw Jesus passing by, and he said, look. Because if you read verse 29, he said, look, the Lamb of God, and stuff. But when we get closer and closer, you will see that John the Baptist says in this chapter that Jesus is the Messiah. Now, take a look at this. When two disciples heard him saying this, they followed Jesus, turning around, and Jesus saw them and asked, what do you want? They said, Rabbi, which means teacher, where are you staying? Come, he replied, and you will see. So they went and saw where he was staying. Verse 40. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John had said and who had followed Jesus. The first thing Andrew did was to find his brother Simon and tell him, we have found the Messiah, that is the Christ. And he brought him to Jesus. See? So they recognize from Prophet Yahya alayhi salam that this is truly the Messiah. That Prophet Yahya alayhi salam is not the Messiah. That Prophet Yahya alayhi salam points and say, this is the chosen one. And they recognize that he is the Messiah. Now, what does the Quran have to say about the importance between Prophet Jesus and Prophet Yahya alayhi salam? Open Surah 19, verse 7. Oh, Zechariah, indeed, we give you the good news of a son whose name is John. Never before have we made anyone his namesake? He said, my Lord, how shall I have a son when my wife is barren and I am already advanced in age? Hear these words. Remember, Mary will say, how can I have a son? This one is saying, how can I have a son? And he said, so shall it be. Your Lord said, it is simple for me. Certainly, I created you before when you were nothing. And if you look down in verse 12, it says, oh John, we said, hold on with the power of the book, and we gave him judgments while he's still a child, and a compassion for purity from us. I want you to see the connection between Prophet Jesus and Prophet Yahya to understand why Jesus is coming down in the masjid of Damascus. Remember, the first one say, how can I have a son when I'm old in age? The other one, Mary will say, how can I have a son when no man has touched me? So now, what was said? It was later said in verse 12, O John, O Yahya, hold firmly to the scriptures, and we granted him wisdom while he was still a child. Go down now to verse 15. Peace be upon him the day he was born, and the day of his death, and the day he will be raised back to life. And now take a look right here. In verse 20, Mary says, she wondered, how can I have a son when no man has ever touched me, nor am I unchaste? He replied, so will it be. Your Lord says, it is easy for me, and so will we make him a sign for humanity and a mercy for us. It is a matter decreed. See? And watch what it says now in verse 29. Because Prophet Yahya alayhi salam, he is given wisdom at a young age. We granted him wisdom while he was a child. That's verse 12. Now take a look at verse 29. So she pointed to the baby and exclaimed, how can we talk to someone who is an infant in the cradle? What did he reply? Jesus declared, I am truly a servant of Allah. He destined me to be given the scripture and to be a prophet. You see? Their birth is a miracle. They're doing things at a young age. And look at the end sentence of Jesus. In verse 33, peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I died. It didn't say I died. The day I died, and the day I'll be raised back to life. We know Prophet Yahya alayhi salam is dead. But look how the word is so similar. Peace on Yahya. Watch this. In verse 15, says, peace upon him the day he was born, past tense, the day of his death, and the day he will be raised back to life. Now, when it comes to Jesus, it says, peace upon me the day I was born, the day I die, and the day I will be raised back to life. To show you there is a similarity between Jesus and Prophet Yahya alayhi salam, John the Baptist. Since I made that point, I need to make another point now. Prophet Yahya was the one that said, "This is the Messiah." When Jesus comes back, he's coming back at a masjid, which was a church at first, in the name of John the Baptist. The chapel of John the Baptist. And became the Ummah masjid. And now the Muslims also recognize, and the Christians also recognize, that this is the area of where Prophet Yahya head is said to be. When Jesus comes back, he's coming back at the white minarets in the masjid of Damascus. There is a white minaret as we speak. And so now, what I do have to say to you is when Jesus comes back, what will he do? He will say, because the Mahdi will ask, "Why don't you leave?" Prophet Jesus will say, "No, you lead." For there is commanders that have been sent to this Ummah, and that is the honor for you. That's why Sahih Muslim 156 says that Jabir bin Abdullah reported, Prophet said, I'm going into it, he said, Jesus, son of Mary, will descend, and their Muslim commander would invite him to come and lead them in prayer. But he would say, "No, some amongst you are commanders over some. This is the honor from Allah for this Ummah." So I hope you can see that he came back to the church and came back now to the masjid. The church name was John the Baptist. It now was built on top, the Ummah Masjid. When Jesus comes back, authentically says that he will bring an end to all religions except Islam. And there is none from the people of the book, but must believe in Jesus before his death. You see, Constantinople will have to be liberated from Western control, because Constantinople at one time was under Western control. During the Third Crusade, I made mention to you that this was eventually taken as under the Western Roman Empire. So, I hope you understand that part. And one thing now I have to say is this. The Crusaders selected their own emperor by the name of Baldwin of Flanders and divided the territory up. You know, of Eastern Rome, they're not controlled that part up. And so what they do, they divided it up into new vassal Crusader states, which the Pope recognized. When the Ottoman Sultanate came and did a kingship rule, what was the first thing he did? In 1453, what happened to the Hagia Sophia or Constantinople? It came away from Orthodox Christian control. So Orthodox Christians moved to Moscow, Russia. When we're talking about the West, we're talking about Western Rome, because then he says you will conquer Constantinople, then right after will be the city of Rome, because the Romans from the West will be sending an army, 80 flags, followed by 12,000 troops, and rank up in Damascus, Syria. And they will say, "Let us relieve you of the Arabs. letting you know that since we conquer all these Muslim territories of Egypt, of Iraq, of Sham, of Yemen, causing Arabia to be destroyed, now let us fight the remainders of them. So it's the West that is doing this. When Jesus comes back, he will bring an end to all religions except Islam. Now, what does the hadith say? Sahih Bukhari 3448. Allah's Messenger said, by him in whose hand is my soul, surely Jesus the son of Mary will soon descend amongst you and will judge mankind. Didn't the Quran say that he will be a sign to mankind? And so Maryam, he will break the cross. So it's not just that he's coming to this Ummah, he's coming to his Ummah, because his Ummah will be in our Ummah. He's not only coming to this Ummah, because what would be the need to break the cross if he's just coming to this Ummah? And what would be the need of doing jizya if he's coming to this Ummah? So he will break the cross, kill the pig, and there will be no jizya. Muslims don't eat pig. Some of the Christians don't eat, but there's a set of Christians that do eat. Money will be in abundance, and so that nobody will accept it. And a single prostration to Allah will be better than the whole world and whatever is in it. Abu Hurairah said, we'll quote this verse in Surah 4, verse 159. And there's none of the people of the book, but must believe in Jesus before his death. On the day of judgment, he will be a witness against them. Western Rome says about power that the cross is victorious. On the other hand, Eastern Rome was not about fighting for power, because their headquarters is in Orthodox Christian area, which is headquartered in Moscow, Russia today. And there's so much more to mention about the subject, but I'm watching the time that we're not going to get a chance to talk all of this stuff right now. So, the last thing that I need to mention about is a statement that is of very much importance. When Muslims say they plan their plans, tell them why they say Allah plans his plans. Indeed, Allah plans his plan. But his plan is this, that you will be conquered and you will be at a time. Why? Because when you disobey, you'll be punished. It's mentioned that some of you will transform to animals. So why are you wanting to not follow the truths of Quran and Sunnah, but follow al-Madnat, which is the media, the news? Every single time you quote, oh, this happens, that happens, but you're not aware of reality. So the Muslims, instead of following the Quran, the Sunnah, now they depend on a system based on shirk. And I was warning them for years, don't vote in a system based on shirk. But instead of listening to truth, there is a set of Muslims that listen, alhamdulillah to that. But then you have the sheeps. And the sheeps wanted to follow the Zionist pyramid system and taking part in a system based on shirk. And our prophet made mention in authentic hadith, warning you against this. So my question for you is, why do you not take heed to what our prophet said? It says in authentic hadith that they take their scholars and priests and worship them. They ask, how do we worship them? We don't go and bow down to the priests and worship them, because you would expect that when it means worship, that you are bowing down in submission to them. That is how you worship. But according to authentic hadith, that is not the case. The case is that you did something, that you made halal what the Lord made haram. And so when you do that, that was the shirk. So, with that being said, why did you partake in a system based on shirk, where you say that people rules, where you say that people makes the law instead of the law making the law? Huh? Is it not true that the democratic system, democracy, is rule of the people? The answer is yes. And Allah is the one that gave us a Sharia. Why don't we follow His law? Narrated in Tripoli, that Ali ibn Haytham, Regrettable, authentic hadith by the way, reported that the Prophet said, they have taken their scholars and monks as Lord. And they said, I said to him, Prophet, we don't worship them. He replied, don't they forbid what Allah SWT allows, so you forbid it? Don't they allow what Allah SWT forbids, so you allow it? I said, yes, that is how you worship them. So now, in the system today of the Zionist pyramid system, you look and see that it's a political party. And the system that you see today is rule of the people. You elect a representative to represent you, and you now vote on laws. And there's a process that goes where people make laws. And these laws goes in total conflict with the Quran and Sunnah. Why then do you vote for people or vote in a system based on shirk when the Prophet says they make the law when the law make haram and vice versa? That's how you worship them. So I told these Muslims for a long, long time, don't vote for Biden because he's a Zionist. And don't vote for anybody who's there because they're puppets. Anybody in the political system is a puppet. Anyone elected is a puppet. If there's a person claiming that they're going against the state of Israel, then they pose no threat to Israel and what they're doing, because there's something called a controlled opposition. Where the enemy puts a man from him among his opposition and make the opposition no threat. It's a psychological warfare, it's psyops. And that's what they did with this puppet Zionist Sunni rebel in Syria. I'm going to read you some quotes on him after this. Now, what I do have to say is this part. One, you may say Biden is a Zionist, and I told them not to vote there, and now they came back afterwards and they talk among themselves. Oh, we regret Biden is now in office. We regret voting for him because what happens in the Middle East. So they now jump to Trump. And I said all this time, political party is a party. Like a birthday party, it's a waste of time. Instead of you fasting on the day and remembering the Lord, you are now recognizing yourself. And the Church of Satan even makes mention, I'm not talking about the good church, I'm talking about the satanic one, came out to say that you're making a god out of yourself when you do birthdays. Now, when you do political systems, you are in a party, you're wasting your time. The people are puppets. And so I said that the Republican Party and Democrat Party are two sides to the same coin. On top, the Republican Party sounds millions of times better than the Demon Rat Party, Democrats. But deep down, when you look deep down at the roots, it's two sides of the same coin. And I told the Muslims, don't vote for anybody, any puppet. And instead, they voted for Trump. To such an extent, they met at his rally and even said that they believe God saved this man. And they even mentioned that he will be one who bring an end to wars in the Middle East, like brainwashed sheep. Do they fail to realize that Trump is minted on Israel's coin with Cyrus, who the Zionist Jews call the Goyim Messiah? Meaning he's the one that allowed the Jews to rebuild back the state of Israel, well, the Holy Land, for them to rule, Cyrus. And when you meet Trump, don't you recognize that he has the same function? He claims and talks like a politician does. They say what you want to say, they backstab you because they're puppets. And so guess what Trump says? Claim to bring war in the Middle East to an end, but there's a way to bring it to an end. You can bring a fight to an end either by prolonging the fight and then ending it, or you can bring it to an end quickly by me sucker punching you and dropping you down there. And in this case, don't be surprised when Trump also worked for the same Zionist pyramid system and they enact policies that will really crumble the Middle East. He said he did more for Israel than anybody else. He's the one with the no-hide laws. And at the same time, Trump had said many things of the past wearing the Jewish hat as the other president does. Biden says he's a Zionist. I don't have time to mention a female who is wanting to go and take election, because our prophet said, anytime a female leads a nation, it's bound for destruction. But yeah, her husband, Kamala Harris, is saying that he wants a mezuzah in the White House, something sacred to the Jews. To show you, and we can list the different presidents wearing the Jewish hat, to let you know that they all work for the mafia Zionist pyramid system. They work for Israel. The moment you speak out against, you're dead. And now the Muslims, like usual, partake in the election based on shirk. Now they got a big sucker punch in their face when you see that Trump, he gave a cabinet full of pro-Zionists, complete Zionists wanting Israel to invade. That's what you get for one reading a month and no one objects to it. That's what our prophet says. Well, I am going to purposely bring out the truth, whether you like it or not, because our prophet said, ignorant leaders will give verdicts while they're ignorant. And by the way, did you know that Trump's MAGA, you know the MAGA celebration? I'm sure you know about it. Do you know what MAGA is? MAGA is something very significant in the church of Satan, in the Satanic church, and it is the 5th degree of the Satanic church. You know the church that was founded by, I'm talking about Anton LaVey. For those who doesn't know what I'm talking about, you need to do some understanding of the subject. Because you have been brainwashed and deceived by unbelievers that you don't use the Quran and Sunnah as a way of determining what is right and what is wrong. You need to change right now before it's too late and save yourself while you can. Trump's MAGA rally, Make America Great Again. I'm sure you heard that a million times by now. It's clear what it is. Let me read to you. A registered member of the Church of Satan, because Anton LaVey had formulated a system of degrees during the early years of the Church of Satan. A registered member is no degree. An active member is a Satanist, a first degree. A witch or a warlock is a second degree. A priestess or priest is a third degree. A magistra or a magister is a fourth degree. A MAGA or magus, is a 5th degree. So, you need to realize that this is a system based on Dajjal to come out and rule. Now, one thing that I need to mention is that when you supported sheeps, a puppet that says that the only enemy is not the state of Israel, you know the same Sunni puppet saying directly to you that, on the news, to Israel, that the state of Israel is not the enemy, that nobody else is the enemy, only Hezbollah is the enemy. And they don't want to fight anybody else except Hezbollah and the Iranian regime. The same HTS member also said that he wants Israel to go and support them in their uprising against Bashar Assad. Also now Israel is taking credit for Bashar Assad's fall. Netanyahu claims credit for starting the historic process that led to the fall of Assad regime. Israel and Ukraine has been providing drones to these rebel Zionist puppets. And Ukraine itself, the leader Zelensky says he wants Ukraine a great Israel. So why would you support a puppet like this? Hayat Tahrir Hashem, all these different groups that was created by the Zionist pyramid system, you got this ISIS, CIA, and all this other Al-Qaeda mess. and all these other groups, this was created by the same system. Why would you then support these people? Oh, because they get some of the brothers out of the prisons. Prophet Yusuf was in prison, but guess what? He'd rather go through hardship than go through the other. And what I'm saying is, I don't support what Bashar Assad did and all these things. But today you say prison. I mean, yesterday you said prison. Tomorrow I say you don't even have your land. Which one is worse? You being complaining that you're oppressed and you're in prison and there's graves and this and that, versus you being completely genocided out. Where our prophet got flesh red. Picture, you're supporting a group that says that the only enemy is not Israel or anybody else, but Hezbollah and Iran. And our prophet said that the way you'll be destroyed is by you fighting based on sect. Or taking the peace. Instead of you recognizing that Israel is the greater evil and target them. Instead, you'd rather go and take aid and support. And now this Hayat Tahrir Asham group, they want Israel to invest and do business with them. This is all public information. So tomorrow when Israel invades and they have it on their flag to invade these territories, you must not ask why you are invaded, and tell everybody that this is Allah's plan. That from the rubble is where the Mahdi's army comes. And I wish I could talk much longer than this, because the subject gets very deep and very lengthy. So I end my subject for today with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you. Never support a Zionist puppet. If you want Sunni rule in Shia and in Syria, not Shia, Sunni rule in Syria, then make a rule that doesn't have any connection with Zionist Israel. That is what you should have done. But instead, you didn't see the greater of the two evils and attacked the greater evil. So now Israel is invading, bombing Syria, and tomorrow, not just Syria, but Sham, Iraq, Egypt, Yemen will be conquered, and Arabia destroyed. All this Hind, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, all destroyed. All these different Muslim countries in North Africa, destroyed. The last of Islamic cities to fall is Medina. Recognize these words before it's too late of our prophet, that the last that you'll be besieged all the way up to Medina, and that the West will be invading you. Why do you think when Jesus comes back, it makes mention about those who disbelieve in Jesus? What would happen to them? They would fall down dead. But Eastern Rome, on the other hand, will be ready to accept him. Why? Because they are not arrogant, and they are not the ones doing this, and at the same time, majority of man will be Roman. So when Jesus is coming back, what is he coming back to do? That those who are ready to accept truth, Eastern Rome will accept it. Western Rome will be defeated. And then the Vatican Rome will have to be liberated by Al-Islam. Constantinople will have to be liberated by true Al-Islam. At that time, when Jesus comes back, The Romans was the majority in population. That's what the prophet said. The last hour will not come until they are the majority. The Arabs will be small in number. Western Rome will attack you, and you can map it out to see where it's at, and see after Constantinople, you'll fight Rome. You won't have a chance for any other battle, but fight in the city of Rome, and then Dajjal comes out. Eastern Rome will be ready to accept. And by the way, Jesus is not coming only for this Ummah. He's coming for his Ummah because he will break the concept of the cross. Because at that time the Romans became Christian. And he broke the concept of the cross after he went up into the second sky, which is say heaven. And by heaven, we're talking about the Sunnah. So when he comes back, those good Christians will accept him. And the Quran says there is not a people of the book, but must believe in Jesus before his death. That's why it makes mention about the abolition of jizya, because they are in our Ummah. And the subject gets so much deeper. What I warn you, these Ummah, is that when you decided that you said this is a time of victory, that this is a time of peace, that Bashar Assad was the tyrant. He's the demon. And the way you talk is like a puppet that is there is the angel. This person that came, Abu Muhammad Julayni, in Syria, do you even know anything about him or what he said? Look, the Muslims should have been wise to understand the hadith. That I understand, and I do not like any of the beliefs of what Bashar Assad sect believes in. I can't stand the beliefs. But you need to understand that Islam will be divided into 73 sects. And what will cause this Ummah to be destroyed, what will cause the enemies to be able to take from this Ummah, is by you dividing yourselves and annihilating one another. And don't tell me that, oh, they plan their plan. You see, this way Israel plans their plan, but Allah plans his plan. Such a convenient cherry picking. What if I were to tell you that the Hadith is saying this is Allah's plan? That Allah will put fear of the enemy, weakness. Allah will put weakness in your heart. But when it comes to the enemy, Allah will take away fear from their hearts. When you divide yourselves, that's when you'll be in a very destroyed state. The Mahdi's army will be coming from the Rome. So now, what I need to tell you is what you did in being happy to see that these people are now freed from the prisons, freed from torture, freed from genocide. These are your words. Oh, he attacked his opposition. Let me tell you one thing. You may say that it's bad, but tomorrow you will now not have control of your land. You will be such a depopulated state that it will not be under the rule of Al-Islam, but it will be under control of the Zionist Jews in the West. And this Mohammed Julani has a role to play. He was being supported by the state of Israel. He pictured this group, the HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which has connection to Al-Qaeda, whether they say in severe ties, but they're directly connected to the CIA, the Mossad, the Pentagon. And at the same time, the founder, this person, let's say the leader, he was part of ISIS. And you support a man like this, who is literally, his group is asking the Jews to support him in uprising against those who are Bashar Assad government. Now, the Alawi, I don't support in the least bit. And they have beliefs that is completely against Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Strange beliefs that would shock you. But the Prophet Muhammad said, the 73 sects will be in hell except one right sect. Doesn't mean it's right to be a sect, but does it mean it's right to divide yourself up? Even though I don't support Bashar Assad, but I would rather choose the lesser of the two evil. I would rather choose him than have a Zionist Jew that doesn't consider you as a human being and want to take the territory away from the name of Al-Islam by having a puppet by the name of Julani who took support from Israel after Israel bombed the bridges that they say was a critical role to play in decimating Iran and Hezbollah. This group says that we do not see you, Israel, as the enemy. We want to actually do investing. We want you to come to Syria and invest with us. Can you imagine these words? And what happened is so sick that now Syria has become a demilitarized state. The title, it was on Israeli Channel 11 News. Syrian rebel invites Israel to invest in Syria and promotes friendship. If you're proud of yourself, huh? The same group says we are open to friendship with everyone in the region, including Israel. And we don't have enemies other than Assad regime, Hezbollah, Iran. What? Picture this. This is their words saying it. And the title of the news is Syrian rebel commander urges Israel to support uprising and strike Iran-backed forces. Now, while saying these different things, look what happened. It says here, the IDF sees chance for strikes on Iran nuke sites after knocking out Syria's air defenses. Over 85% of Assad's regime's anti-aircraft systems has been destroyed in strikes. Another news, IDF sees chance for strikes on Iran nuke sites after knocking out Syria's air defenses. Netanyahu, another news, claims credit for starting the historic process that led to the fall of the Assad regime. You know, you want to take credit by this puppet to the Zionists who's asking for Zionist support. And now Israel is already taking credit for toppling Assad's regime. Also, this is what has been said by an American diplomat. We have eliminated Hamas, Palestinian Authority, and we can easily eliminate Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. Israel is the only adult that has to be in charge of this region. Also, the two-state solution is dead. David M. Friedman, U.S. Ambassador to Israel. Now, after Syria became a demilitarized zone, you know what Israel did? They bombed and destroyed over 500 missiles after this puppet, Zionist Sunni puppet, by Mohammed Junaidi. Israel took advantage to completely demilitarize your place by striking over 500 missiles right after, targeting the Air Force out, targeting your Navy. Why do they want to do that? It's because no Arab state, they want to be a threat. And name me any Arab state that is an enemy to Israel besides Syria. Forget what you believe. I'm asking you, what is the greater of the two enemies? Israel, that doesn't claim you humans, wants to genocide you out, and wants to do the most horrific things to you, calling your soul coming from 3 satanic spheres, while they are holiness, and they say that you are animal souls. Versus this one, which you say you've been under oppression and torture, but still claims to be Muslim, versus one who will take the territory away from being ruled by someone claiming to be a Muslim. You can cry about, oh, what Bashar Assad did and to you, the Sunnis. And I am directly Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I can't stomach the beliefs of Bashar Assad, but I choose the lesser of the two evils. My question for you, you can cry about prison. You can cry about being tortured. You can cry whatever you want and say this is a time of peace. If I were you, I would be really concerned that it is not a time of peace, but you're very easily opened. You're now easily taken over. Because the same one that overthrew Bashar Assad was due to the Zionist Jews and the West supporting him to put this puppet in. So tomorrow, when they stop giving the thing, you will now see this will be easily territory of Israel. You think what happened to you with Bashar Assad is bad? By being imprisoned, tortured, and oppressed? Tomorrow, you will be genocided. You'll be killed. You'll be depopulated. And the few that remains, they have to submit to the terms of what the West and the Zionists says, or else. If you only knew what you did, do you understand that Israel is laughing behind you, behind your backs? I can give you literally videos of U.S. troops literally telling you how foolish you became and how foolish your decisions are. I can tell you about many people talking directly about how foolish it is. That you couldn't rise and see the bigger evil. You have to see, about sectarian divisions, and this is oppressor, this is this, and this is that. You couldn't come over your sectarian divisions and over your intoxication for wanting a Sunni leader at the price of being a stooge to the Zionists and a puppet so you can easily be conquered. I want to see Sunni rule in Syria, definitely. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Who doesn't want that? But at the same time, if you mean to tell me that you have a Sunni rule that is a puppet of Israel and was being backed by Israel to conquer you tomorrow, I would never agree with this. I would rather have the Shia in, even though I don't agree with the Shia, because they're the lesser of the two evils. You complain about prison. Prophet Yusuf, what happened with him? The female was wanting to commit an act with him, an immoral, indecent act. And he's presented with two evils. Either he take the quick route, the one that they will consider as pleasure, and disobey Allah, and will be in a bad state, or take the good, or take the other, which is the lesser evil, which you're being in prison, because prison is not something good. But bear the hardship and please Allah. And what did Prophet Yusuf say when they invited him, when she was wanting to do it? Prophet Yusuf says that prison is more beloved to me than what they invite. If you have the power to put Sunni rule, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, even though we're not supposed to be a sect, but the beliefs of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Syria. And if you have this group that has no ties with the Zionist state of Israel and with NATO, then who would not want that? Well, let me ask you a question. Are y'all smart to wake up and do it? Or are you always going to be a puppet to your life and then tomorrow you're conquered? Well, I don't need to answer because the Quran and Sunnah told me from authentic hadith that Sham is going to be conquered. Thanks to you! Thanks to you for being such a fool that you have to allow Israel tomorrow with the West to conquer you. And by the way, the hadith makes mention who will be conquering you. So you think you made a wise decision. And wonder why the news is promoting all of a sudden about Bashar Assad. Can't you recognize that the news is a psychological operation? Which is CIA Director William Casey says that he put lies for the American public to believe the lies. And you Muslim sheep's going to tell them, oh, listen to the news? Well, that's going against our prophets. Our prophet said a time is coming when they will read Al-Mannat over Al-Quran and no one will object. Include your news, include your media, include your magazines, social media, Twitter, Facebook. If you want to include text and Instagram and all these different things, include it all. But wake up to reality before it's too late. Because Israel is telling you, and they bomb Assad's weapon. Why? Why? You want to be a stooge of Israel, invest with Israel. What did Israel do? They bombed all of the different weapons of Assad before it can reach the same HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, puppets of Israel. Before it can reach them, they bombed it. Because they're telling you in your face that we don't care about you. We only diplomatically use you to fight our battle. So tomorrow, since you've been fools, we will take the pleasure in conquering you. Because you can't see anything about divine encounter. You've always been fools throughout all your life, and you're going to be bribed by hearing, oh, this Shia, he was a tyrant. Yeah, tomorrow, say what Israel going to say. It's going to be Iblees himself. Don't take a rat and compare it to the lion and expect that you're going to be having the same results. A lion can kill you. A rat, on the other hand, will give you a nibble. Be very careful what you want, because the Quran and Sunnah is your guide. And what you need to do is recognize that we should have used this here. As Assad falls, another title, Israeli jets destroy his deadly arsenals before they fall to the rebels. Before they fall to you, the Sunni rebels. And guess what Israel is doing as we speak? They are literally putting Israeli flags up in Syria and conquering more land. And when people confront the same group about what are you going to do with Israel invading your territory, and they say, we don't want to focus, all the excuse, brush it aside. We want to focus on rejoicing after all these years, and they're going to talk the same nonsense. Because they're not looking at the greater evil, they're looking at the lesser evil. So they ask them again, what are you going to do? And he couldn't answer. Because they know it was the West and the Zionists that was supporting to overthrow Bashar Assad. And the objective was fulfilled to weaken Muslim countries so they don't have any threat in the Muslim countries. Now Israel can easily take you over with the West. When you say that they plan their plans and you tell them about the greater Israeli project, that Israel is diplomatically letting you fight their battle for them, and writing on their flags that they're going to take over Syria, they're going to take over Lebanon, they're going to take over Palestine, they're going to take over Egypt, they're going to take over Iraq. And you are sheeps asking for a ceasefire. Why don't you just look at the flag and see what the flag means? Two blue lines is taken from the Nile Euphrates River. And you're asking for a ceasefire. And look what they do. They never give you a ceasefire. They behave like they give it for a second and then come back stronger. But guess what? When you tell them that what's going to happen is Israel is planning to take you over, the first word the Muslims say, they plan their plan, Allah plans his plan. And what they fail to realize is that this is Allah's plan. They like to quote the good part. Islam will be the only religion on earth. But they fail to realize that the Prophet said, Prophet's son, how all the Muslim cities will be destroyed. How all the Muslim countries will be in ruins. And it makes mention about how the Arabs will be destroyed. We already know how the Hind will be destroyed. We already know how Africa, the northern part of Africa, that's Muslim countries, will be destroyed. What do you want to talk about the Maghreb portion? Majority, you see, of this Ummah has been brainwashed. And what they need to realize is that when they will see that the good Romans accept al-Islam and make up the majority of man, because Prophet Jesus' duty is that there will be none of the people of the book but must believe in Jesus before his death, and the breaking of the cross. If he only came for this ummah, then he wouldn't have to break the cross. But since he came to his followers, and since he's coming to the good Christians, it would mean clearly that when he breaks the cross, and so 4 verse 9 makes mention about this after, that they will accept truth. Majority of man is Roman, and in the Quran, in Surah 19, verse 21, Prophet Jesus is a sign to mankind, not just to the Ummah. The Prophet said, Prophet, Arabs will be destroyed. When the Prophet said, woe to the Arabs, Prophet said, no. Heaven will be destroyed. Africa will be destroyed. The third world is destroyed. Sahih Muslim 2898 says these words clearly, that the Romans will make up the majority of man, that the last hour will not come until the Romans make up the majority of man. Authentic hadith. I heard Mustawrid al-Qurayshi reports that the Messenger of Allah, Prophet said, the last hour will not come until when the Romans form a majority amongst mankind. And so since Jesus is a sign to mankind, the reason why he has to break the cross is so those who follow him, the good Romans, will accept what he says. The ones in the West will be brought down in their own headquarters based on authentic hadith before Jesus comes back. But get back to the point. You Muslims have literally sold yourself out. And so when you say that they plan their plans and Allah plans his plan, let them know that this is Allah's plan. Allah told our Prophet, when our Prophet asked for 3 things, Allah told our Prophet that the way you will be destroyed is when you attack each other, you fight each other. Then the enemies around the world, the enemies, picture this, will gather upon you and take from this ummah like the dish, enjoying the dish, taking it from you and inviting others. When you invite others to a dish or to a food, it means the food is very good. So they enjoy it. That's how much making fun of you is. And Allah is mentioned in this. Allah will take away the fear from their hearts of you, while Allah will put weakness in your hearts. So what do you mean this is not Allah's plan? And when you say nobody can know the future, let me tell you something. Yes, people can, of course, know the future. You must be sleeping if you said that. A person on their own cannot know the future. But if Allah, and our Prophet, told you the future, of course you know the future. If you don't submit to what Allah says and what our Prophet says, you don't want to submit to the Quran and Sunnah, how can you call yourself a Muslim? So we have information of the future, but you have been blinded with al-madnat. You have been brainwashed. You are ignorant speaking, following what the news says. And our Prophet said, a time is coming when people will recite al-madnat and no one will object. They ask, what is al-madnat? Everything besides al-Quran. Tell me something. How many times do you see these Muslim people tailor their religion to suit the news, media, and suit all these things? Syria is now in a very corrupt state that it's easy to see how you'll be conquered. It is very divided. And I can show you what is going on. But that's a completely different subject because it gets so long. Give you the whole history of Syria. And then from there, show you the agenda that was behind Syria. Because these Muslims don't know their history. They just repeat, oh, I lived in Syria. Oh, I lived in Jordan. Oh, I lived in Palestine. Oh, I lived in this. I lived in that. Yes, you live in it, and you are a collectivist kind of thinking. You follow what your leaders say, but you don't have a brain to recognize that our prophet had warned that a time is coming when ignorant leaders would give verdicts. That's why every time you hear they speak, they all say the same exact thing. Look, a true scholar will not be one to tailor their religion to alignment, like your news, magazines, and all these things. They will make sure that the world goes towards Quran and Sunnah. But guess what? These supposed scholars, ignorant, misguided imams, what do? Now, what does the news say? Oh, it uses the term Great Reset. Oh, so now you got to reset your lifestyle. What kind of shame is this? That whatever you hear the news say, you start using similar words. Where is the originality? Since when you become such puppets? Do you think our prophet was a puppet? No wonder why the Muslim countries have to be in rubble and destroyed, depopulated. And then you will see what it says in Hadith. It's so depopulated that our prophet said, time is coming when there's no believers except it will be in Sham, authentic Hadith. To tell you Hind is destroyed, Africa is destroyed. By the way, Sham was a Eastern Roman province. And since majority of man will be Roman and accept the truth, the Eastern Romans, while the Hadith, authentic Hadith, makes mention how the West will be defeated before Jesus comes back, should tell you the reality of Jesus coming back. Authentic Hadith tells you that Allah will bring an end to all religions except Islam. So please, brothers and sisters, recognize what is of more importance. You can choose the greater of the two evils, or you can choose the lesser of the two evils. Because what you see right now happening throughout the years that you complain as torture, bloodshed, and oppression, tomorrow you're going to wish that you were not saint, because it's going to be a million times worse. And I just wish you knew what the Jews, not the good Jews, the Zionist Jews written about you and what torture they're going to do. These are the same ones that'll be crying about what happened in Palestine. But what? They support this puppet who is named Abu Muhammad al-Gilaini, this puppet. And the Sunni rebels are supported by the West. After Syria was demilitarized, they were saying, Israel is doing all this bad job to Palestine. It's doing this torturous and crime. But replace Bashar Assad and put a siege to Israel, and Israel writes in your flag to invade you, and then the Hadith tells you that Syria is not going to just be invaded, it's going to be conquered. And it's not just Syria being conquered, Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, and territories around. So, what I suggest for you to do is ask for forgiveness. Repent before it's too late. Because what you are doing is causing your own kids, is causing your own family to get into a more worse state. Before it gets to that state, the Zionist Jews, like usual, has to bribe you into something you like. And knowing the Muslims as sheep for a long time, that's why they'll be inviting the enemies to take from you. When you invite to a dish, you love the dish. They love to take. Guess what? Tomorrow, they're going to bribe you today, and tomorrow, you're going to be genocided. How does that feel? You're going to be depopulated, genocided out. You're not just going to be in prison and tortured and oppressed. That's like heaven compared to what happens tomorrow. Because our prophet said clearly, woe to the Arabs where evil has happened. Will we be destroyed? Prophet said, now, when evil increases. And our prophet made mention that if the enemies around the world were to gather, the hadith, through Allah, our prophet was talking to Allah. If the enemies around the world were to gather, hear this. In Sahih Muslim, it's made mention. This words, that this is from Allah. I grant you for your Ummah that it will not be destroyed by famine, and it will not be destroyed, dominated by an enemy who will not be amongst it, and will take their lives and destroy them, root, branch, even if all the people from the different parts of the world were to join hands for this purpose. But it would be from amongst them. That's how you start to be destroyed. And then if you read the other hadiths, it tells you, yes, the enemies, like the Zionist Jews, will be able to take. And I can mention to you about what the West will do, supporting the Zionists. And it's because of sectarian division is the cause. So don't tell and blame anybody besides yourself. Don't blame Israel. Take Israel as the enemy, the Zionist Jews. But blame yourselves for allowing Israel to be able to do what it can do. Because there are kids that are suffering in Palestine. There are kids that are suffering in the Muslim world. Why is these kids being killed and brutally attacked? It is because of you. You have blood on your hands. Stop saying that they plan their plan and Allah's plans His plan. And read what Allah says, that this is Allah's plan. Indeed, Islam will be the only religion left when, after all the Muslim countries are destroyed. Majority of man will be Roman. Good Romans accept Islam in the East, and I'm going to get in detail about it. West will be brought down before Prophecies comes. And I want to see if in this lecture I'm going to talk the details of that. But if this lecture is too long, I'm going to have to make another lecture specifically on that. So if you don't see it in this lecture, then look for the next lecture, and I give you the authentic hadith and the verses of the Quran. The Arabs will be destroyed. Hind will be destroyed. And I can mention to you exactly how it will be destroyed. Why? Because we have Quran and Sunnah. You play blacksmith, that's your fault. You have blood on your hands. Because Allah is telling this Ummah, that's what's going to happen. Then it wouldn't happen just like that if you were united. But because you are so blinded, and people are making fun of you continuously because you are such a sheep to fight among each other based on sectarian division, but not recognizing what is the greater evil. By the way, you would rather support, a set of you, the Zionists against those who claim to be Muslims, whether you agree with it or not. Because you claim that he was an oppressive regime. Do you know what the Zionist is? You're talking about Iblees himself. Take a little rat and take the land. Give you an example. Take a little toy car and take a big 18-wheeler truck. That's what you're dealing with. You may be tortured and in prison yesterday. The Jews bribed you like usual for just a short period of time. Tomorrow, you are going to be genocided in the most brutal way. And you would have nobody else but yourselves to blame you. Because I quoted to you from the Quran, and I'm showing you from the Sunnah what our Prophet says and what Allah says. So don't say things out of ignorance that, oh, they plan their plans, Allah plans His plan. Please, this is Allah's plan. Wake up before you kill it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Tried to forget my existence. Time to remind them why they fear.